Welcome to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast, paying tribute to the reality show that aired on MTV from 2006 to 2010.
We are two Southern sisters rewatching The Hills in 2016 and chatting about it weekly for your entertainment.
My name is Susan, and I'm a 30-something photographer who hates most reality shows but loves The Hills. I have been rewatching the show for a few months.
My name is Jem. I'm a professional in my 30s who hasn't seen the show since it originally aired, so I'm really looking forward to reliving the magic again 10 years later.
We watched the first few seasons of the show in real time when we were younger versions of ourselves, and we are so excited to revisit every episode from our new points of view. Today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 6, Somebody Always Has to Cry. We start out with the previously on, and at the end of it, Lauren says, all I hoped for was a drama-free New Year's kiss. Which is, of course, setting up the stage to let you know it will not be a drama-free New Year's. So our first scene is Jordan and Lauren going Christmas shopping.
This is an interesting dynamic because it is a scene with just Jordan and Lauren, an unlikely combination. And they actually have good chemistry in the episode and are very chit-chatty as they look over the various items for Jason. And I kind of like the show mixing it up a little bit with the characters doing different things in different scenes.
I did too. I thought it was a nice change.
So Lauren and Jordan are searching for the perfect gift for Jason, which Lauren has spent a lot of time doing in the show, by the way. Jason, I'm not sure if you deserve all these glamorous presents. Anyway, the ultimate gift that year was apparently a dog tag with black diamonds. The salesperson says, we have everything from really simple to super ghetto, at which I cringed.
As did I.
Yeah, it was a little cringeworthy moment from 2006. And then they went through the different jewels and all the weird bling they're going to put on the dog tags, and don't really understand what they ended up getting. But it was funny when Lauren started dropping all of the stuff, and she was like, I'm just throwing diamonds around.
It was actually the sales lady who said that, but yeah, it was pretty funny. Then we go to the next scene where they're Christmas tree shopping. I guess they've picked out their Christmas tree. I kind of wish we had seen that scene because I think that probably would have been funny.
This was actually my favorite scene of the whole show because they seemed like normal people their age. I mean, obviously they're buying a Christmas tree in beautiful LA weather, which I was very jealous of. But it was just normal. Like, they're just being, normal, 19, 20-year-old kids, buying a tree and giggling and having fun.
And then they're decorating the tree at the Hillside Villas, and I love this scene. I thought it was so fun because as it begins, Jason and Lauren are decorating the tree as Heidi relaxes on the couch, which is just classic Heidi. Love it.
Maybe she was tired from a long day at Bolt House, Susan.
No, they were off for the holidays. By the way, how many people get off for the holidays like that from not only, of course, school, yes, but apparently you get off from work as well?
Apparently. And this is when Heidi begins the dialogue of her tragic past of holidays at the Montag household.
That was glorious.
It really was.
That right there says everything about Heidi's character. It was just so classic her. I loved it so much.
Yeah. But I also felt sorry for her at the same time because I'm like, what sad Christmases this child has experienced. She never got the present she wanted.
And everyone always cries on Christmas, she says. And then she's like, well, yeah, it's usually me because I don't get the presents that I want and my sister gets too much attention. I was like, what in the world? That is insane. As someone who has a sister, actually someone who has several sisters, I was never jealous of attention that any other sister would get. However, one of our other sisters, who shall remain unnamed, as to not embarrass her, you know who you are. One birthday, our very youngest sister was opening a present, and it was a Barbie doll, and our other sister burst into tears, hysterical crying, and we're like, what's wrong? And she said, now she's gonna be snobby because she has a Barbie.
And it's just massive crying fits, and we just discovered this in the past couple of years when you were putting our family VHS tapes, kids, you don't know what that means. You were putting our family VHS tapes on a or, whatever, DVD. And when we saw this scene, I think it was someone's birthday. It was our youngest sister's birthday. We were watching it. Never has any family laughed so hard and had tears pouring down their faces, stomachs hurting from laughing, watching the scene. It was the best thing ever. So there was crying at Christmas in our home as well. Susan, we can reveal that to the world.
Yes, we can. I think it happened very few times. I do remember an incident in which we were taking our Christmas photo, and I was watching a movie on TV, and my dad is like, it's time to take the photos. And I was like pitching a fit because, of course, back then, Jem, as you'll remember, you couldn't just pause your TiVo or anything like that. You had to watch it at that time or you couldn't watch it at all. So we were watching like a Brady Bunch movie, Christmas or something like that. And I wanted to finish watching it. And we had to take the Christmas picture. And so in every single photo we took, I am sulking. And I have the sulkiest expression on my face. And every time I see those photos, I remember that I was just mad because I wanted to finish watching my movie.
Susan, as a current professional photographer, when you become enraged at family events and you want us all to line up for a photo and we're just not quite feeling it because we've had a lot to eat thanks to all the good cooks in our family, maybe that is karma for you having your crying fit that day when you wanted to watch your movie. What goes around comes around, and I think we're going to learn a lot about that in this episode of The Hills, which is actually what we're talking about and not our family history.
Not talking about how people pay me thousands of dollars to take photos of them, and my own family pitches a fit when I try to take photos. But whatever.
For $0, no less.
I'm not bitter at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So Heidi has a sad home life. Christmas tree decorating is adorable. And then move us on to the next scene of the show, Susan.
The girls go to brunch and they're chatting about Christmas and what they want for Christmas. Heidi wants a puppy. Lauren wants a Chanel bag.
I have something to say about this scene, Susan.
Is it about Heidi's baby voice?
It has nothing to do with Heidi's voice. It has nothing to do with their conversation. It has everything to do with them having brunch at this place, which is called Doughboy. It's super fun. They have fun pancake orders. Do these girls not drink coffee? How do they start their day without a cup of coffee? There's zero. Somebody orders a juice. I'm like, what is this juice concoction with your pancakes? I don't understand.
Well, Jem, as you know, since you are my sister and have known me for 30 plus years, perhaps you should remember that I don't drink coffee and I do order orange juice at brunch, so...
I try to ignore that about you, and I try not to think less of you because of it.
Okay, fine, I don't order orange juice, I order Bloody Marys, whatever.
Sure, you love a Bloody Mary.
Let's talk for a minute when the girls are leaving brunch and they're walking away and the camera kind of pans back. Let's talk about Heidi's outfit.
It was a disaster, but it was very fashionable for those times.
Oh, that's so frightening.
You don't walking on your jeans, Susan?
Her jeans were super baggy.
Yeah.
Her shirt she was wearing a white tank top with her tummy showing, with a shirt over it, which had giant musical symbols on it.
I thought it was like an army shirt with patches that you would get at what's the store called? The surplus store?
I was very startled by the giant musical symbols. It was awesome. So then we go to the Grove for one of the cutest scenes that we have seen so far in The Hills. Would you agree with that?
I would disagree, because I thought that when they're on the bridge and like all the things are happening with the snow, all I could think of is these two couples are trying to out-cute each other. And I became very cynical and annoyed by the pair of them. So you're just going to have to talk about the romantic stuff, because I did not like it at all.
Okay, Jem, I guess I'll just have to talk about it myself. Well, I think it's super cute. They're being all lovey-dovey, and they look happy. That's the part I like the most about it. We always see them fighting and having drama, but they actually seem super happy. Maybe it's not a coincidence that they were just hanging out at the mall and not drinking somewhere, but, whatever. It starts snowing, and they're like little kids. They're getting so happy and just like laughing and giggling, and I thought it was really cute. So I'm sorry you don't agree with me, Jem. Too bad you're such a cynic.
Too bad I'm a bitter old lady.
So then we head back to the Hillside Villas for the opening of the presents.
Also a very cute scene.
Agreed.
So Jason loves the dog tags, and he's really happy, and then Jordan gets a weird piece of jewelry. And Susan, I don't know what that was that Jordan received. piece as jewelry.
Was it like an ID bracelet, or was that from the 1950s when people got ID bracelets?
I don't know.
Is Jordan going to give his bracelet to Heidi to say they're going steady?
Oh, she's his best girl. Heidi observes in the scene, I'm really loud.
Well, she's being loud because she's overcompensating, because obviously she hates getting a stuffed dog.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of mean.
Hey, Susan, do you feel like this scene is lulling us into a false sense of normalcy? Like everything's just going to be A-okay the rest of the episode / the season? Everything's great. Everyone's getting along. The couples are lovey-dovey. It's the holidays. Nothing bad is going to happen the rest of this episode.
Oh, yeah, I think they definitely set it up as the first half is like happy holidays, yay, and the second half isn't. But Jason gives Lauren a Chanel bag, which made me happy because he's gotten so many expensive presents from her, so I'm glad he finally bought her something.
Ugh, and that bag to this day would be total classic, just like the quilted patent leather. It's basically like a bag version of the headband that Elsie's been wearing the past couple of episodes.
Definitely. It's super cute. And Heidi is very angry and jealous. And then Jordan goes and brings in her dog. So she's happy again. She's like, my puppy, and she cries. Once again, proving the fact that when she said at the beginning of the show, everybody always cries on Christmas, it was true. Just this time it was happy tears and not jealous tears.
And all I could think of when she named the dog and was petting it, I thought, poor freaking Bella.
Was that when Twilight came out?
Possibly. I'm a little fuzzy on that.
It was either, maybe it was 2008 when Twilight came out. I can't remember.
This is when we need one of our guest
pop culture
co-hosts. Yeah, when we have these blanks we have to fill in. And we don't cheat in Google during the recording of our podcast episodes, so it is what it is. We'll never know about Twilight. You're just going to have to tell us on the Twitter.
Did you notice when Heidi was like, where did you get this puppy from? And Jordan's like, the internet.
No, I missed that. Really?
Yes, he said the internet. I'm like, what in the world? Like, what does that mean?
2006, he probably won it on eBay.
So then we skip Christmas and all of that and go to New Year's Eve, and the girls are running to the salon to get their hair done.
And Lauren says, I'm so glad we're getting a limo. What I want to know is, what is the terrifying opposite of getting a limo?
Probably riding in a cab.
Well, that's not going to happen in this episode. Wink.
No one would ever do that on New Year's Eve.
Oh, and Lauren's wearing the Poochie scarf headband again in the scene when they're on their way to get their hair done, which I love and would totally wear tomorrow.
So Lauren gets a text from Jason that's really confusing, and they don't explain it right away.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd done it the other way around, because your brain is set to a certain level when you're watching the show, and you just can't comprehend things that don't make 100% sense when they're happening. So I was in a panic. I was like, I hope Susan is going to be able to explain this text message to me. And then, of course, 2 minutes later, they explain it. But it was a little bit much for me. Don't do that again, the Hills.
We have a little bit of Jordan and Jason giving us a little exposition, which was super helpful of them as they're working out and pumping their iron.
They're being so manly and strong.
And Jason's shirt says something about being a dim person.
Dim? Like D-I-M?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a band shirt or what, but it just said something about I'm a dim man or something. I was like, you got that right, Jason.
Yes, you are indeed, Jason.
So tell me what the situation is behind this text message.
So basically, there was a guy that Lauren liked for a hot minute. Sounds like she liked him for a week. They may or may not have gone on a date, and she never spoke to him again. Then he called her. She answered the phone.
He had the audacity to call another man's woman.
How dare he call Jason's property? And P.S., why did we go back to the old flip phone? Susan? Like, Elsie is on the flip phone again, and I thought she had a sidekick.
Well,
it's a conundrum.
I know we're not supposed to talk about like things that happen that aren't part of reality, but I'm sure it's because it's all filmed out of order. But anyway.
Well, this is disappointing. So she took this call from this gentleman. She belongs to Jason Waller and should not have answered this call. Therefore, Jason is completely justified in his rage as they pump iron at the gym and complain about how this guy is just going to come in and be a total homewrecker and Lauren should never have answered the phone. And then it just goes downhill from there in the salon.
I loved how into it the hairstylists were getting. They got super excited about the drama and were being all gossipy.
They totally reminded me of Blaine at Bold House, being in the middle of it all.
It's funny when Jason calls Lauren, because you can tell it's just because Jordan got him all worked up about it, that he has to call and confront her.
Great job, Jordan. Way to give relationship advice.
And Lauren said, he just gets mad at the dumbest things. I'm not going to apologize, and I didn't do anything, which I love that she said that, because it's true. She did absolutely nothing wrong. Jem was being sarcastic earlier. Like, she really didn't do anything wrong. So
No.
I was glad she said that, even though she kind of backtracked a little bit later.
Yes, she did.
So then we go to Brian and Jordan's apartment, and for once we have a getting ready with the boys scene.
And they're way more worried about how they look than the girls will ever be.
Let's talk about Jordan's hat.
The top hat?
Yes, I think Jason was wearing one later, too.
He was.
So they're talking about being suave and, oh, my dog tags aren't hanging the right way. And it was just really funny. And then they walk outside and go down the steps. And Jordan's trying to do this fancy flip with his hat and he falls.
Which was amazing.
That was amazing. And at least they both cracked up laughing.
Yeah, totally. Like, they'd had some beverages. Which is
definitely.
Why Jordan fell, but that was still hilarious.
It was hilarious. And then we go back to the Hillside Villas and the girls are getting ready.
Where's Audrina? I miss her.
Audrina's probably at home or something. I don't know.
Why did she leave us again?
She's not in the episode at all. Sad face. Let's talk about Lauren's hair.
Oh, so pretty.
Why doesn't my hair look like that?
Why doesn't my hair look like that?
At least you're blonde. I'm brunette, so...
Yeah, we're just not Lauren Conrad.
Very few people are. So then we go to the lobby nightclub, and they go into the VIP space, obviously so their cameras have more room to work.
Heidi's dress, though. Love.
Heidi's dress was awesome. I'm pretty sure you have worn a dress like that on New Year's Eve before.
Oh my gosh, I probably have. I was in love with it, and I'm sure that I, in a previous life, had that dress. It's so pretty.
So then Jason and Lauren start talking.
Lauren is sporting the new Chanel bag, which is a token of their love that is so quickly about to drain down the drain.
So all of a sudden, Jason gets vicious.
Out of nowhere.
And crazy. And the things he says to her, oh my gosh, I can't even.
Okay, he's being aggressively scary, Susan.
This is not okay.
Nope, not at all.
This is borderline abusive.
I don't care how drunk you are, what drugs you've done. I don't care what's happening. Nothing about the way he behaves in any of the scene is all right.
He's like, oh, I can't wait for us to be close friends. I'm looking forward to it. But he's like threatening her. When she actually says, why are you threatening me? You're going to break up. I'm like, that's the perfect word, because that's exactly what it was. He was like threatening her. And it's like, where did all this aggression come from? I mean, I assume it was because he was drinking, but still it's like, whoa, back off.
No excuses.
And she just looked so shocked, like, what? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I love you.
Ugh.
And then calls her Wooby.
I know, what's that all
I guess that's
about?
the nickname. And then he's being all sweet all of a sudden. And she's kind of like, I'm not doing anything. They're just arguing, and she's confused. But he's being sweet again, and then all of a sudden, he gets very, very close to her and hisses in her ear.
Ugh.
How about you listen and never talk again?
Oh, so creepy.
Oh my gosh. If someone ever said that to me, I would punch them in the nose, kick them in the you-know-whats, and walk away from them. That was scary.
Would you have kicked him in the dog tags?
Yeah, because they dangle that low.
He's so mercurial in this scene, and I know it's jumping throughout the night, probably over a period of hours, but I'm legit scared of Jason in all of these moments where he's just like being physically aggressive, verbally aggressive. Just don't like it at all.
It was very upsetting. Like, I was upset for her, and I also felt bad for her as like a person that she had that captured on video and everybody saw that. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. And for him too, really. Like, that's something that's going to follow him forever. And I'm sure at his 30-year-old self now, he's super embarrassed about that, I hope. But that's just like, oh, it's awful. That is the worst thing ever. Like, just how aggressive he was being, it was awful. And he's not really making any sense in any of his arguments when they are standing up and they're arguing. And I'm like, I don't even know what he's saying. I don't think he really knows what he's saying. He's just trying to argue with her probably to make her mad and be on a break or something so he can hook up with other girls that night. I don't know. It was just completely senseless, and it was awful.
Yeah, he probably had some chica waiting in the wings on New Year's Eve, and he was just trying to like have a one-night breakup, so he wouldn't feel bad about it. Although we know in the past, Jason has no qualms about being a cheater. But yeah, that whole fight scene was just really uncomfortable and weird. And she kept saying, "What do you want from me? And what do you want me to say? And, what can I do?" And just, it was in a lot of ways, it was a very classic fight for a couple of that age. It just kind of makes me wonder if I could see, video scenes from arguments I had in those days, how similar they might be. I really didn't want to think too much about that, actually.
I actually did think the same thing. Like, I am so glad there wasn't a camera following me around when I was 19. I mean, I don't remember any guy I ever dated being that aggressive and kind of scary, but I definitely I know you do. I was there. Always having to be the go-between. I was the Heidi of that situation.
I'm really sorry for you that you were a Heidi ever at any point in time for any reason.
Okay, so who is that guy who was at the club with them? I recognize his face, and I always want to call him Frankie, but I know he's not Frankie. Frankie's someone else who comes in, later in the season, but this guy is always around later, and I can never remember his name. Is he her bodyguard or something?
I mean, it almost looks like this guy either, safely escorts her out of the VIP outside, or she gets thrown out of the club by a guy with a badge on. But this guy has, a little badge, a security badge.
No, I know he is related somehow to all these clubs they go to. I think he's a club promoter, but he is always with her, always, because once again, I'm watching way ahead, as we discussed in our previous episodes. So he's always there, but he's never named. But I'm always I wonder if that's her bodyguard. But I don't know.
Possibly.
I just don't remember in any of the episodes I've watched if he's ever been named. And I always want to call him Frankie, but I know he's not.
That's not Frankie. Frankie's a very distinctive looking person. I don't remember anything about what happens in future episodes of The Hills, except for some, really big stuff that people still talk about. And the minute you said Frankie, I pictured his face and his wardrobe and everything. So that wasn't him. But some human being that is a man helps get her out of the VIP into the street.
Yeah, I think he was definitely okay, let's diffuse the situation by getting her away from Jason. Let's go outside. So I don't think she was getting thrown out. She was just I'm over it. I'm done. Yeah. And so Lauren and Heidi go outside, and Lauren's just I'm leaving. And Heidi calls her a cab, and then Heidi gets in the cab with her. And let me say, I know we criticize Heidi a lot, but I give her so many props for getting in that cab and going home with Lauren, because it is New Year's Eve. She's with her boyfriend. She was having fun. They weren't even arguing. They were getting along. And that is a great friend to be nope, I'm going with my friend. I want to make sure she's okay. She just had a horrible time, and I'm ditching my boyfriend. That is awesome.
Yep, good friend move, Heidi. Proud of you, girl.
Good job. So then Jason calls her in the cab, and he's like, "Where are you?" And she says, so sadly, "Happy New Year's, Jason," and hangs up.
So dramatically staring out the window, thinking about what might have been on New Year's Eve, which is, everyone knows, is the most exciting night of the year, and it's not amateur night at all.
Oh my gosh, that's one of the reasons why I hate New Year's so much. Nothing good ever happens on New Year's. And this is going to make me sound like an old person, but I literally do nothing on New Year's anymore because it's just never fun to me. I don't want to be on the road because, everyone's been drinking. And yes, I know that makes me sound old. So now we're back at the lobby nightclub, and Jason all of a sudden is like, "Oops, I think I messed up. How can I fix this?" And Jordan jumps in and he's like, "You need to do this and you need to do that." It's actually great advice what he's giving him. But what he probably should have said is, how about you don't be a jerk in the first place? If you could just be nice to her, you wouldn't have to worry about fixing it.
Jordan's IQ skyrockets 20 points in this episode to the north. He suddenly becomes this sage full of wisdom for his friend Jason. And for a little while there, Jordan and I were in a good place. We were okay.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I really like Jordan in this episode. I think he was awesome, and I thought that advice was really good. So then we go back to the cab, and Heidi's answering Lauren's phone, and she's like, she doesn't want to talk to Jason. And he's like, please, let me.
How many times when you were approximately 19 years old were you on your friend's phone saying, she just doesn't want to talk to you right now? Let's just talk about this later. Let's discuss this tomorrow. How many times did you do that for your friend? Oh my gosh.
And didn't you always feel kind of smug when you did it? Because you were like, I know my friend does not have that willpower to answer the phone and not talk to you, but I'm going to take that phone and I'm going to give them that willpower. I loved it.
Just be the strong person in the situation when your friend can't. Hey, that cab was the squeakiest cab ever. No, I kind of realized the thrill of the limo Now that I compare the two, because the cab just looked miserable.
It really did. Heidi's like, it's really not okay that Jason does this. And really it's not, because he ruined Heidi and Jordan's night. And honestly, I thought it was cool of Jordan that he didn't yell at Jason, because his night was ruined too. And he was very, cool about it. I don't think I would be cool about my friend ruining my night with my girlfriend.
Well, maybe he fell down and bumped his head when he was going down the stairs earlier in his top hat, so he didn't know what was going on.
So then we go outside the nightclub, and Jason is buying a giant bouquet of flowers.
Flowers!
That guy's night was made. He's probably used to selling one or two at a time, and someone just was like, here, he said something like, here, have $80. It was so funny.
And I love when, kind of skipping ahead, when they're headed back to the apartment, and Heidi's like, I didn't like my hair anyway. It's like, it's okay that this night is ruined, because my hair didn't look cute anyway.
Yeah, that was so funny. And then we go back to the limo. It's kind of cutting between the limo and the cab and the hillside villas. And Jordan's trying to give Jason more sage advice, so he says what Jason should do is grab her, put her on the bed, and make love to her.
That will solve any fight between any two 19-year-olds, I am sure.
That's not a great idea when someone's mad at you, that's your first solution.
This part of the episode begins a segment I like to call an episode of 24, where they're like, we're running out of time. And everyone's
what time is it? What time is it?
And the time keeps flashing up on the screen, and it becomes very stressful. And I became nervous and worried, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And then there's the whole, if you love me, you'll come downstairs. If you love me, you'll come upstairs. Back and forth. It's just really, really hard for me to watch because it was so suspenseful.
It was so suspenseful, and I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, are they going to make it? Can they kiss by midnight? Because if they don't kiss at midnight, what is going to happen? I think that would mean that everything is over with them and they can never get it back. It has to be done before midnight. So they're about to pull up at the hillside villas, and after they've argued and everything, and Heidi's finally like, let's go down. As Jason stumbles out of the limo, he's smoking a cigarette.
Chain smoking. He's got one in his mouth and one in his hand.
And he goes in and sees Lauren and smothers her in this hug. And it's so disgusting because all I can see is his stupid cigarette that's getting really close to her hair.
I'm just thinking about how gross it would be to make out with chain smoking Jason at midnight. Ew.
Yuck. She honestly doesn't look particularly happy.
No.
And he's so drunkenly hugging her and kissing her.
I like her backless dress, by the way. We were so busy talking about Heidi's dress that we didn't discuss Lauren's awesome black dress.
Oh yeah, it was super cute. I loved how flowy it was. And then Jordan and Heidi enjoy their own sweet New Year's kiss, and they're whispering things to each other, and that was really cute. So I'm like, oh, y'all are so cute this episode, whereas Jason and Lauren are just kind of a hot mess.
The tables have turned.
Oh, I'm sure they'll turn back, Jem.
You think so, Susan?
Maybe.
When I think back on my life and I think about things that I wish had happened to me, things that I wish I had done, I'm really disappointed that I never had a smoky parking garage, New Year's Eve, midnight kiss amongst concrete levels of the parking deck. Because, it's kind of how I felt, when I found out Heidi got asked out via Lily's in our previous episode. It's a similar feeling. It's just really? No concrete parking deck midnight kiss? I really missed out.
Jim, getting asked out with Lily's is sweet. Getting kissed in a parking garage is not.
Getting asked out by Jordan isn't sweet at all, though, so it all evens out.
Yeah, but you don't know that about Jordan until you get to know him better. So initially getting asked out by him with Lily's might have seemed awesome, and then you get to know him and you're like, oh, maybe not so awesome after all.
Yeah, those lilies withered on the vine pretty quickly. I don't know what that means.
So New Year's Eve is over. They both got their New Year's kisses, but what is going to happen next time on the hills? So right now, the point we're at now, Heidi and Jordan have a super strong, stable relationship. They're really happy together. They didn't fight at all in this whole episode. They were super cute and lovey-dovey. She got a puppy. They have a puppy together now. I mean, that's true love forever, right? And obviously, Lauren and Jason seem to be in a very precarious place and they're on the rocks. So I am interested to see what happens next week.
Jason is showing some really ugly sides that it catapult way beyond the, weird stuff we saw at his birthday party. This was a disturbing Jason episode, and having watched it for the first time as a grown-up, it really bothered me. It wasn't just like, oh, the drama. Oh my gosh, there's so much drama at the club between Jason and Lauren. It legit bothered me.
Jim and Susan for social justice. Do not let a man treat you like that. It is not okay.
Literally, if a guy acts like that towards you in any way, shape, or form, don't, go on a break or have a fight with him. Never date him again. And Jim and Susan for social justice could go on and on about this, but we only have a limited amount of time in our podcast. Even now, if she sees it as an adult, she's got to, have just that bad, cringing feeling in the pit of her stomach. Like, ugh, I just can't believe that happened.
Oh, there's no way she sees this. I seriously doubt she ever watches the show. There's no way. Could you watch that? I mean, even when I look at my, family videos from when I was little, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. And no one else saw that but, us.
Oh, you mean like our sister crying about the other sister getting the Barbie?
Well, that was hilarious because that wasn't me.
You know what? Aside from what happened at the very end with all the, fighting stuff, this is a great episode. I believe it was a little Christmas in July for you and me, Susan.
I think so, too. I think it's always good to have a little bit of Christmas spirit 6 months before Christmas actually begins. Jem doesn't like Christmas, for all of you wondering.
I don't like Christmas.
And I actually hated Christmas for a long time because I worked retail for so long at a place where we started celebrating Christmas in July, and it took me years to recover from that pain, but now I love Christmas again.
I don't have a reason for disliking Christmas. I think that it has something to do with the cold, though. So, I'm terrified of the cold, and it's always the coldest time of year where we live, so I don't like it.
No, I think it has more to do with you have 5 hours of travel in 2 days. Is everyone asleep right now from this conversation?
Yes.
Does this episode of The Hills pass the Bechdel test?
Susan, I'm not even going to go through the Bechdel test questions for this episode. I have one word to say regarding the Bechdel test in this episode, and it's meh.
This episode of The Hills absolutely does not pass the Bechdel test. That's what happens when you're on holiday from work and school.
When there's no Brent Bolthouse asking you to get a sandwich, things just go awry from a Bechdel standpoint.
Oh, I would have liked to have seen Brent Bolthouse around the Christmas tree.
Do you think that he celebrated alone in his office with his dusty drapes like Scrooge?
No, I think Brent Bolthouse would celebrate Christmas at one of his clubs surrounded by lovely ladies, and he would look very bored.
He would be so bored, and everybody else would be partying and kissing under the mistletoe, and he would just be rolling his eyes and saying something like, Christmas of the worst.
I bet Brent Bolthouse's Christmas card was him going smoldering at the camera, looking bored, and saying, have a very bored Christmas.
Whitney was missing from this episode too, and that was sad. Where were you, Whitney?
Wasn't Audrina missing from the last episode too?
I think 2 episodes ago Audrina was missing, and we were excited to see her back last week.
Okay, I can't remember. I'm just sad. I miss the other girls when they're not there.
And Brent Bolthouse.
Obs.
Jem.
And Susan's funniest moments.
Susan, I am sure you and I picked the same funny moment because there is no contest. Let's say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1.
Jordan falling down the stairs. Hilarious. Everything about it was. We don't need to say anymore.
Winners of the week.
Jem, who was your winner of the week?
Susan, you and our listeners may be getting a little tired of this, but flower-selling gentleman on the street was the clear winner of this episode. How many florists have won my winner of the week? It's getting a little old. We're just getting started with the Hills. This man with the roses who sold them all to Jason on the street when he was hopping into the limo is my winner of the week. Flower guys win again. They really had a great year in 2006 in Los Angeles, California.
And I have to say, he probably had an awesome New Year's because he was expecting to be out there all night selling flowers, and then Jason buys all his stock up and he's like, oh, I can go home.
He got to go home to his significant other and have a great New Year's kiss, and it probably wasn't in a creepy parking garage.
And he probably didn't have to speed to get there.
Or chain smoke right before the makeout. Ew.
Yuck.
Gross.
I'm going to say the winners of the week are Jidey, as I like to call Jordan and Heidi. They were super cute. They didn't fight. They got along. I just enjoyed watching them this week, so they are my winners of the week.
And both of them gave good advice to their friends. Like Jordan gave good advice to Jason, and Heidi helped Lauren by getting the cab and taking over her phone in the cab. So they both did a really good job. That's a good winner, Susan.
And neither of them complained about having to be such good friends. I can only think that Jordan was such a great friend this week because Brian wasn't there.
Why did you have to bring up Brian and ruin this whole episode?
I just had to bring the episode down.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast. Here's the scoop on all of the many ways you can contact us. We'd love to hear your feedback and ideas for the show.
You can email us at wordsunspokenpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find us on Twitter at The Hills Podcast and Instagram and Facebook at Words Unspoken Podcast.
We are even on Tumblr, which definitely did not exist when The Hills first aired. And you can also visit our website, wordsunspokenpodcast.com.
Please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. We are also available on Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
We'll talk to you next Friday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You and all your pretty little friends up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my words unspoken.
I'm going to go watch my stories now.